We're in some little village somewhere in the Waldviertel of Austria, and Carol and I are here for the whole week. We're at an amazing conference for artists, for painters, for actors, for musicians, coming to this little spot here in Austria to celebrate their creativity and their creator. This school complex has been converted, at least for this week, into one hothouse of creativity. So Carol is one of 15 or so tutors that are teaching the 220 folks who are here at ArtCROSS this week. And I'm going to help her quickly set up the room. I'm simply here to support as hubby. And then she's been asked by the worship team to join Bernie, the worship leader, and she has to learn some songs, so she's got to do a little practicing, a little rehearsing. We all have to do practicing and rehearsing. Listen, can you imagine? 4 drummers in here.
Let's do it for the camera.
We talk about
1, 2, 3, 4. Mitnimmt und das dann als Phrasierung auf die Becken sozusagen unter. Ja? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
You are good all the time, and all the time. You are good. You are good all the time, and all the time. You are good.
Introduce you to Nina and Frank. Nina and Frank have been very successfully running ArtCross. Every second year this event takes place. Carola's been coming for many years to teach, and I'd love you to hear their hearts. This is Nina and Frank.
Hello.
Hello.
Why the name ArtCross?
Artists are very special people, making the unknown and the unseen visible. I believe that God is an artist, first of all, because he wants to have heaven on earth. That's his heart, and I believe in his glory being seen in the art.
And why ArtCross, the name itself? How did you pull that together?
It was just there. I believe in Jesus, and the cross stands for him, the empty cross, and art first. And then there was, the full name was Art Across Austria. So I like this word play with AAA and Austria, and meaning across, crossing borders, merging styles, merging art forms, and also leaving the boat,
1, 2, 3,
stepping on the water. Vision now goes like, it is across Austria, so it goes to Georgia, to Tbilisi, to Europe, to Israel, and maybe to Japan. So.
Well, you've got 11 countries represented this week, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And what's it like administrating and managing over 250 or 245 creative people of all walks of life, all ages, I mean, from littlies to oldies to all kinds of temperaments, creative temperaments. Frank?
Yes, that's like as mom and dads with all up and downs with the kids and teens.
Teenage kids.
Yeah, teenage kids.
Yeah.
But I think we're becoming better with the years. Over the years, at starting point, it was something over the edge, especially for Nina. I think we are more experienced. Team building, it was a task for years, but now we are on a good way. God is always giving enough to make the next step, and that's always adventure.
Now, Nina, you've got over 200, I call them students, but they're not really students, but people who are passionate about the creativity, the arts, and they want to come and develop, but not just develop, they want a fellowship. And I sense there's a tremendous connection in the fellowship. There's a spiritual dynamic that's very powerful. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I am a motherly leader, so it's my focus that people interact. The first thing I would ask another person would be like, are you married? Do you have family? How are your kids? How are things going? Not what's your business? How much do you earn?
And I think it's part of the history of the former Bring the Arts to Life from Klaus Zalut. It's something that's really very strong. It's that the relationships were growing over years and years, and deep friendship that developed. And you can't create that. We had many artists and people from Germany and Switzerland that said, oh, we want to organize something like that. And after a while they realized, oh, you can't organize. You can't organize life and the relationship and the love between the artists and the leadership. And that's something that's growing out and it's growing bigger. And that's something very special. And that's why all the artists were longing for this, and also the people attending us and joining us feel that spirit, that it's all about relationship, all about friendship.
There are nations who have certain giftings, and Austria has beauty and the arts and relationship. So I think we are not like the Germans, organized, and not like Americans who do the business and can reach everything, but we are like, okay, let's hang, let's have good food and have friendship.
What's the next 10 years look like for ArtCross?
Right now, my guys, they have visions. I pass on the stuff and I call people into their calling. So people who lead, like ministry team, for example, they pray a lot and they have this vision and brilliant ideas and connections to Israel, to Japan, and also Georgia. So, and I go with the flow. There is more to come, but I am not like, but you have to become a doctor. I
You're not
know.
that kind of mama.
No, I'm not.
It's like,
I look like maybe because
whatever
I'm
you-
very strong, but ask my kids. I think I'm not you. I know.
When's the next ArtCross? And where?
Yeah, in September next year, 2019, in Georgia, Tbilisi. In 2 years' time, 2020, we'll be here, booked here at beginning of August.
Here in Austria.
Here in Austria.
In Austria, and will be a festival, 10 years
Yeah,
ArtCross.
celebrating 10
and we
years.
will celebrate and have a feast.
We have a website. We are on Facebook site, and you will find us.
Rupert, the saxophonist.
Yeah, this is a clarinet.
Tell me, Rupert, why do you love the Lord?
He made me alive, and he gave me meaning and a purpose.
If you were going to express that on the clarinet, how would you express that?
I have to say, we just fell in love with the person who was on the cross and resurrected. We just fell in love, both, and we are about all and every aspect of his life and his death and resurrection. Everything we love on this man. So and we are so happy and so thankful that we belong to him.
Wonderful. Well, I have certainly enjoyed being here. And I've loved supporting Corolla. and I most certainly hope that I get to come back on your 10th anniversary.
I hope so too.
This will be very cool.
Good.
Nina, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
A professor of psychology. How does a psychologist reconcile his faith?
I was walking down the corridor of the university one day, and one of my colleagues bumped into me and he said, I have a question for you. He said, you've got a theology degree, right? I said, yes. And he said, you're in psychology? I said, yes. And he said, how can you bring the two together? Because the one is religious and the other one isn't. I said to him, well, you're a Jewish chap, aren't you? And he said, yes. And I said, well, go back to Genesis. In the beginning, God created man in his own image. So I said, to me, it makes sense. You do theology to grapple with things about God, and then you study psychology to grapple with things about man who is made in his image. And I said, for me, that brings the two together. And he said, wow, he said, I've never thought of that.
My heart took its way to Jerusalem. A story of love, grief, and courage. A dream is no small thing. With art as good as bread, I'll write in order to illustrate and paint in order to deliver a message. When I give my art words, I feel like a messenger handed a loudspeaker. Forsake not your heart and feel the wind of heaven. It's amazing how some combinations of words and images can give a sense of happiness, like music, and how one heart is a mirror for another.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Elliot.
Well, I was raised in a little town in South Africa, in Grafrinet, in a non-religious family. My piano teacher was an organist, pipe organ. I said, I want to learn to play pipe organ. She said, well, you're going to have to come to church. So that was sort of the beginning of my religious instruction. Ended up working on a ship for 9 months after I left South Africa, and ended up in Canada, where I studied in Canada and the US. And I met my first wife there. We were married for 39 and a half years before she passed away from cancer. We had 3 sons, beautiful boys. Of course, they're in their 40s now. And then I met Begida in a little town in South Africa, where she was on a speaking tour.
Why Clarence? Why did you go to this little...
Well, my first wife and I had gone there for the art weekend. It's got 18 art galleries. When I retired from the university, after she had passed away, I thought, what am I going to do with myself? And I said, well, let me go to Clarence and just take a year off and see. We met in a coffee shop in Clarence. I was introduced to her by a Jewish lady that I had come to know in the art galleries. And I was very impressed with this lady. I mean, she was dressed kind of like a nun, not completely.
A touch of bohemian
That's right.
style, and very
much,
arty. And...
But I was very much taken with her. She was a beautiful looking lady, and I thought, wow, you know.
The main thread throughout my art has been the fascination of heaven, the fascination of love on earth, and the restoration of Lord's homeland and his people. I neither deny my vulnerability nor cage my dreams of my soul. I do not want to miss the voice of my shepherd. Let me out on the green fields. As long as I live and breathe, I shall not lay myself down in anyone else's hands.
Although we had exchanged addresses, because my youngest son was in Israel at the time doing photography, and I thought, well, that's a good connection for him as well. So Begida and I started to correspond, and 8 months later we got married in Jerusalem.
What an extraordinary city.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You can't say it's lovely, and you can't say it's beautiful, you can't say it's ugly. I mean, it's all of those things.
It's all of those things. No, it is.
And it's not necessarily an easy place to live.
I found it very difficult. In fact, I still do. There's a lot of tension in the city, if you're honest about it. Although I've never felt in danger or anything. We move around very freely. But we've both become involved in Christchurch in the Old City.
Among songs of love, I mobilize the language sent out to battle. Walk with the Lord and your neighbor in love, and fight when needed for truth.
Tell me this morning, what were you doing with those hands of yours?
I was trying my hand at doing a little bit of sculpting. And I've always wanted to be a sculptor, so this is barely a beginning, but it's kind of fun. Yeah, so maybe I'll pursue that a little bit, you know, as a hobby. Yeah.
We're rehearsing for tonight, and it's still all a little bit in practice mode. But we're getting there. It's a lot of fun.
So here I am with Bernhard Kitzmüller, praise and worship leader.
Yes, that's right. Very special, you know, this ArtCross feeling and many people coming together, and this year it's really a special gift. I think, you know, we have some kind of unity that I have not experienced in this way before. I grew up actually in this village, Bad Lemfelden, as an ordinary Catholic young guy. So when I dropped out of church, I started playing the guitar. In between the times of 14 years and 19 years, I was really very much practicing, you know. I had summer seasons when I was practicing 7 to 9 hours a day. I was practicing electric guitars, and you have to know, my father's house is in a rural region, and the next neighbor is like 150 meters away. Bernie, do you really hear a difference after playing the same phrase for 300 times? So I was not practicing very quiet, I was practicing really like, you know, rock and roll. Yeah. I was 19 years old and I had a friend at school. She was part of a youth Bible study group. And she told me she was believing in Christ, and I didn't know anything about, you know, evangelical believers or something. I fell in love with this young lady. It didn't work out to end up in a relationship, but I somehow got connected with this group. You know, the Lord just hit me. It was like there is more. I just prayed a little prayer in my room for my own. I said, Jesus, if that's right what they all say about you and you're really alive, then I want you to come in my heart right now. And in this very moment it just dropped off. And so this was like the immediate answer of Jesus, here I am. I understood that actually in that time I was very serious about making music, about practicing. Yeah, I filled my heart with that. And so it was just important for me once to give the guitar on another chair. I was sitting again in my room, you know. Jesus, if you have something else for me, if you want me to put the guitar away for a time or maybe forever, it should be yours. Whatever is. Oh, I experienced Jesus gave it back to me, and then the passions that he gave us, he also wants to have that we can act them out
and share them with others. Yeah. Well, you really touched people's lives here with the worship this week, you and the ArtCross Band. What do you do as your day job, or is this your day job?
You won't believe it, I'm a guitar teacher.
So you stick with your passion?
Yes. The really cool thing about playing worship, which really sets this apart from all the other kinds of, let's say, artistic stage actions, God's Spirit is touching hearts, cannot be produced by the band or by yourself. So you're always somehow, you have to connect with God, and so you always depend on what He's doing, and that's very fun because somehow it sets you free as a leader. Also, you can just go forward.
Guten Morgen, guten dass du hier bist und nicht weggehen willst. Guten Morgen, ein ganz normaler Morgen, doch ist er anders, so anders. Du machst ihn anders, besonders. Mein erster Gedanke, morgens, wenn ich aufwache, rate mal, dreimal darfst du raten, wer das ist. Mein erster Gedanke, morgens, wenn ich aufwache, rate mal, dreimal darfst du raten, wer das ist. Guten Morgen, wie soll ich sagen, was du mir bedeutest? Jede Stunde aufs Neue. Mein erster Gedanke, morgens, wenn ich aufwache, rate mal, dreimal darfst du raten, wer das ist. Mein erster Gedanke, morgens, wenn ich aufwache, rate mal, dreimal darfst du raten, wer das ist. Ich wach, wenn nichts aus Worten. Und ich weiß, du siehst das genauso, genauso. Ich glaub, es ist, weil Worte nicht beschreiben können, was es ist, was wir haben. Was es ist, was wir haben. Mein erster Gedanke, morgens, wenn ich aufwache, rate mal, dreimal darfst du raten, wer das ist. Mein erster Gedanke, morgens, wenn ich aufwache, rate mal, dreimal darfst du raten, wer das ist, wer das ist.
Well, that's about the end of part one of this special at ArtCross 2018. Appreciate you guys. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and join me again next time, same place, on Spirit Soul Body Vlog. Ciao for now.